Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Lene and I'm a knitter from Norway, and today I really want to share my winter knitting plans. And I do say winter knitting plans a bit loosely because I already know that I'm not going to be able to make all of these because there's just too many plans. So I think we'll call it winter knitting hopes and dreams, or winter knitting inspiration maybe. But I thought I'd just share all of those plans with you, and I would love to also hear from you what you guys are hoping to knit or planning to knit this winter. I think it's really fun to know what others are knitting on or planning to knit, so if you want to share that with me, please do so in the comments. I've tried to make a list just of everything I want to knit and kind of put it into different categories. So I have one category for selfish knits, for gifts, knits from my son, and there's quite a lot. But I've also made a basket of like good intentions and inspiration for me to kind of be able to stick to and remind myself of what my plans are if I ever get over-inspired. So here's that basket. I think there's a mix of like traditional winter colors and maybe not so winter colors, but I'm really excited to be working with this winter, and I think we can just start with the yarn that's in here because I think that's what's most likely to be knit up since I already have the yarn. And we can start with the project I'm the most excited about but also the most nervous about, and that is the Porcelain Sweater. I've had this yarn for so long now. I think I've had it almost all of 2023, but I've just been too intimidated by the pattern to cast on. Especially doing color work on the pearl side is just super intimidating to me. But I am going to be knitting it up in Drops Flora in the color white. I'm sorry, my cat is here and she's begging for attention, so that's why the camera is moving around a bit, because she's stroking up next to it. But I'm doing Flora in the color white, and then I'm doing Kid Silk in the color Off-White, and then I'm doing Drops Flora and Drops Kid Silk, both in the color Denim Blue. The Drops Kid Silk is a bit darker than the Flora for that one, so I'm excited to see how that turns out. But I think these colors together is going to make an absolutely stunning porcelain sweater, so I just have to actually get around to making it, and that still scares me a bit. But now I've been scared of this pattern and putting it off for so long that at this point I just have to make it for it to stop like ruling my life. But if anyone else is interested in doing the porcelain sweater, and maybe is a bit afraid of it like me, I'd love if we could do like a knit along or something to help each other through the scary stuff and everything, because I feel like doing a knit along always helps when there's something scary. I did that the first time I knit the zipper sweater because that was super scary for me with the zipper, and the Moby sweater as well. So if anyone is interested in doing a knit along for the porcelain sweater, I'd love that. But that is my first knitting plan, and I really hope to be able to cast this on Christmas Eve. If I'm able to finish all of my like Christmas plans before then, I'd love to be able to cast it on Christmas Eve, for this to be my Christmas Eve cast on, since it is a project that's been with me basically the whole year. I think it would be really fun if the ending was for it to be my Christmas Eve cast on. But that's my first plan. Moving on, I have some of the scraps from when I made my Moby sweater this fall. Some Drops Charisma in the color Off-White, and I really want to, and the porcelain sweater I forgot to say is by Lene Holm Samsøe. Yeah, but I really want to make the Fridagslua by Aftenstrikk with this, with what I have left over from the Moby sweater. Maybe even pair this with kid silk to make it even more similar to the Moby sweater. But the Fridagslua has these really nice cables, and it has double moss stitch as well, just like the Moby sweater does. So I think even though it's not a direct match because it is the Fridagslua and the Moby sweater, I think those would go really well together. And this year I'm just on like a kick trying to make myself more hats because I barely have any. But I think a Fridagslua in this yarn would be amazing, and it would be really fun to have something that matched my Moby. So that's my plan for this. Not such like a big project, but still just a fun little one. And then I think we can do maybe the white yarn first. So here I have another white yarn. This is Drops Air in their off-white color, and it's just so soft. I'm going to be holding this double, and I'm going to be making the Louisiana sweater with it. This is going to be a Christmas gift for one of my friends, and I've already talked to her about it, because when knitting up Christmas gifts, I want the receiver to be 100% happy. If I spend my time knitting something, I want to know that it's something they actually want. So she said she wanted white, so that's what we're doing. And I think a white Louisiana with this yarn is going to be absolutely lovely, both to have and to work on. So I'm super excited to be working on this, and as this is a Christmas gift, I have to start working on that quite soon. The Louisiana is a sweater by Petiteknit, and it's a very easy beginner-friendly pattern. So, and it also is quite quick since it is on huge. It's on huge needles, and I've actually made a video with me making it, where I tested out how quickly you could make it, and then I made it in Drops Wish, which is even cheaper to buy than Drops Air, so you can really get away with knitting the Louisiana for very, very cheap if you just were to choose the right type of yarn, like Drops Wish. But that is all of my white yarn, so we can move into more colors. And here I have this yarn, and I've also had a plan for this for very, very long. This is Mjuk Vestavin in a really dark navy blue color. And the plan for this is to make my son Eva Cardigan Jr. I made myself the Eva Cardigan this fall, like basically when the pattern came out. And ever since I made that, my son has just been trying to steal my Eva cardigan. When I bought buttons for it, he became obsessed with those buttons, and even still, now months later, if he can find some of the buttons, because I bought the same both for me and him, if he finds any of the buttons for him, he'll just go around holding on to those buttons. So I think finally making him his Eva cardigan would be great, and I think this will also be a great Christmas gift for him. I'll just see if I get around to it by Christmas, but if not, this is still a plan that's going to happen this winter, just because I can see how much joy the buttons of the Eva cardigan gives him, so I want to be able to finally give him his Eva cardigan. The Eva cardigan is also by Petiteknit. A lot of these plans are by Petiteknit, just because I really enjoy her patterns. Here as well is like my second plan for my son. I don't have a lot of plans for what to make him actually this winter, because he has quite a lot of knits, so he doesn't need a lot more. But I have one final plan, and that is to turn this merino extra fine in medium grey into a pair of pants for him. I'm thinking to do the Willums overalls because I really like to knit up those pants. They knit up quite quickly and I think they have an excellent fit. Those are also by Petiteknit, so I think I'm going to do the Willums overalls with this yarn. But there's not really much more to say about that. And then maybe my most exciting plan, at least the one I'm the most excited about, is that I plan to test out Daisy for the first time in this lovely, I can't remember what the color is called. I think it might be forest green or like it's some sort of green name at least, but it's a really beautiful green color, and I'm going to finally be making myself zipper sweater light. I've been wanting to make my zipper sweater light for a really long time, but I haven't figured out exactly what yarn I wanted to make it in. So when Drops released their Drops Daisy 100% non-superwash yarn, I was sold immediately. But then came the struggle of finding out what color to do. But now I've figured out the yarn, I figured out the color, I actually have the yarn. So now the only thing that left is to find time to cast it on and make it. But this is definitely something I'm going to prioritize to make this winter. And I'm super excited about it. The zipper sweater light is also a pattern by Petiteknit. And I am really excited to see how it will work up in this Drops Daisy yarn. The thing I'm a bit worried about is, since this is merino wool, I don't know if it will be like have enough structure for it to not pull with the zipper and everything, since the zipper sweater is quite a large knit. I'm a bit afraid it will weigh it down and the merino wool won't have enough structure for it. But we'll see. I'm also super excited to try out Drops Daisy for the first time to see how it compares to merino extra fine or Drops Lima, for example, which I really love to use, just in terms of like warmth and pilling and how it works up and everything. But super excited about that plan. I think I hope to be able to make it this year, but I don't think that's very likely. So if I was to be able to make that in January or February, I would love that. Then I have the yarn for yet another Christmas gift, this time in Drops Lima in the color Almond, and this is one of my all-time favorites. When it comes to Drops Lima, I love this color, and I'm going to be making my sister a Eva cardigan. She really wanted a cardigan for Christmas, but she didn't exactly know which. She was a bit in between like the April cardigan and a few others, but she likes my Eva cardigan, and when I said my son was also getting an Eva cardigan, she really wanted to match, and she is going to match, just not in the exact color that we are having, because she wanted something a bit lighter. So she's getting it in Almond, the Eva cardigan again, patterned by Petiteknit. I'm super excited to make the Eva cardigan again because I really enjoyed knitting my own Eva cardigan. So that's going to be another Christmas gift. And that's my last like large Christmas gift. Other than that, I'm probably going to use more of this Drops Lima in the color Almond, because I'm thinking about making a couple of hipster hats and maybe gloves for other members of the family, but others have not come to me with specific wants. So they will get more like basic knits. And then I have this yarn here. I have Drops Alpaca and Drops Puna. Both are 100% alpaca yarns, and both of them are left over from other projects. This is left over from when I made Ingrid sweater, and this is, my cat is climbing around and being crazy. I hope it's not, you can't hear it that much, but this is left over from when I made my hazel sweater and the baby blanket, and I just haven't been able to figure out what to do with them because I've had scraps of both of them, but it's been quite a lot, but at the same time not enough to really make something. But I've figured out what to do now. I'm going to combine them, even though they're not exactly the same color. This is beige and this is peanut. But I'm going to combine them, and then I'm going to make myself a new Sophie shawl by Petiteknit. I think since this is going to be 100% alpaca, I think that would be a lovely drape, and I think it would be super warm since alpaca is like 3 times warmer than wool, and I think that would be a great shawl just to have. And the one shawl I have now is like in turquoise, so it's not really a neutral accessory, so I would love to also have it in more neutral colors, so for it to just easily pair with anything. So that's what I'm going to do with these, and finally eliminate these from my stash. I think if I do the largest stash, I'll use up almost everything of both yarns. I'll probably still have a bit of alpaca left, but that's what I'm going to do with those. And then the last plan I have the yarn for, I only kind of have the yarn for, and that is that I'm going to be participating in Eweknit's call where they make the Violeta pullover, and I figured out what color I want to make it in now. I want to make it in this really light powder pink in Drops Flora, but I still need to get the mohair. I'm thinking of getting an even lighter pink mohair than this for the sweater to be like really light pink, and I think that would be lovely with the structure and the cables and everything that's going on in the Violeta pullover. So that Call Knit Along is running right now, and it's going to be running all the way up to until the end of January. So I'm going to make this, at least start on it within that time period. So I have to get my mohair very soon. If you also want to participate in Knit Along, I actually have a code to get you 50% off the pattern if you want. I'll have that in my description. But those are all my plans I actually have the yarn for, and then I have loads of other plans that I don't have the yarn for, but that I have maybe an idea of what color I would like to get. But I guess we can do it by category now since I don't have the yarn. So we'll start with selfish knits, because I'm the most excited about those. And the first off is April cardigan. I already have one April cardigan from, it's by Petiteknit, from the start when I started working and knitting from patterns. This was the very first Petiteknit pattern I made for myself actually. And I love the April cardigan I have now, but it has some mistakes in it, and I also really want a black basic cardigan, and I don't have any black cardigans. I don't have any knit black cardigans, and I don't have any store-bought ones, so I think it would be really nice to get a black cardigan just for something really. Everyone needs a black cardigan, I think, and I don't have one, so I want to make one. And I think April cardigan would be great for that. Also, it's a bit boring to knit in black, so I want to knit the black cardigan in a cardigan pattern I've already made before. So I'm thinking, because I know my aunt has quite a lot of black Drops Baby Merino that she doesn't really know what to do with. So what I'm hoping is that I could hold 2 strands of drops baby merino together and get gauge, or at least close to gauge, because it doesn't really bother me if it turns out a little bit bigger than it is in the pattern, but I'm hoping I could double strand drops baby merino so I won't have to buy a mohair, because mohair is so expensive. So that's what I'm hoping. I just have to swatch with the black baby merino and see what the gauge is and possibly how much it grows. But I would love to make a black April cardigan. The one thing is that I don't know if it would be great to knit on in the winter, because in the winter here we have very little daylight, and the daylight we have are in my son's awake hours, of course. So it's not the easiest time to be able to knit, and it's close to impossible to knit with black yarn in the night because it's like pitch dark, and even if we have a ceiling light it will be quite hard to like see the stitches and the stitch definition. So that's like the thing that's holding me a bit back on knitting a black cardigan now in winter. But it would be really nice to have, so maybe I'll just have to get like a light that goes around my neck. I know my mom has one of those, and then I would be able to see my work a bit better. I know also some knitters use a head light when they're knitting in black or doing color work in the winter, so it would be possible, but I just don't know if it would be the best idea. But I'm really obsessed with cardigans lately, so I have more cardigans on my list, and another one I have on my list is the champagne cardigan, also by Petiteknit, and I've been obsessed with this for so long, but it's never quite made it to the top of my list. But lately I've been seeing even more pictures of it on Instagram than usual, so I think Instagram is trying to tell me something, because I'm just getting pictures of it every day, even though I'm not following the hashtag anything. So now I want to make it even more than before. I just can't figure out what color to make it in, because every time I see it, it's in another color, and I love all of them. But I do think I would love to have it in brown, like golden sort of brown. I just don't know exactly which, but so that's holding me back on actually being able to knit the champagne cardigan. But it looks like a really nice cardigan, and it's knit on a bit thicker needles, so it's probably going to be warmer, so that would be great for winter. And also cardigans are just great for winter because you can layer your knits, as I've done today. So it would be great to be able to figure out the color and be able to add that in my wardrobe, but I just can't figure out the color. It would also look really nice in grey, but I have quite a few grey cardigans, so I'm just can't really figure out what I want with the champagne cardigan. But I also have more cardigans on my list, and the next one is the Levitate Wrap, and this one is by Myfavoritethings.knitwear. She came out with that this year, I think, in a collaboration with Isager. And I've also wanted that ever since it came out. I just think the double knitted bands and the wrap of it all is just so pretty, and I really want it. But also with this I haven't quite figured out what yarn I want to make it in and color, but I think I have at least come close to figuring out what I want to do with it now, because I think I want to do it in drops Puna at least, but I don't know if I'm going to pair drops Puna with drops alpaca, or if I'm going to do drops brushed alpaca silk or kid silk. I don't know what exactly would meet gauge, but I know that like my main yarn will be drops Puna, and I think I'm going to do it in light grey because I think this wrap top would just look great in light grey. So now I just have to try to do some math to figure out what yarn would be right for the gauge, but I'm really excited about that as well, and I really like the construction of this, and I've seen others work it up and it just looks so fun to work on, and also a wrap top is just everything. So I'm super excited about that, and I feel I'm closer to actually making it now that I've started to make some decisions about the yarn. So hopefully I'll be able to figure it all out and be able to make it this winter. And I also think it would be a great transition piece into spring and summer, so it would be great to have it ready at least for that. Another, it's not a cardigan but it's a jacket I want to make is the Dawn to Dusk Shacket, and this has also been on my list for so long, but a while it was on my list, it was in testing, but now it's also been released for quite some time, and I really want to make this one, but it's a huge knit. This is by Tiffknit, and I really like the color on this and all of the small little details, but I think all of the small little details means there's a lot of work with this, but I think this jacket would be amazing for winter as a layering piece. It would be an absolutely amazing transition piece into spring, and it would just be an overall amazing piece. I think if I was able to make this, I'd be able to make anything, but it is a very large knit and I think it will take a lot of yarn as well. So I don't know if I am going to allow myself to get that much yarn this winter, because I am also trying to de-stash and nothing in my stash will fit that project. But like ideally, if I were to allow myself to buy yarn for it, I would love to knit this up, because it is just amazing and I've been wanting it for so long, and I could see this becoming an absolute staple in my wardrobe, like becoming my new jacket. So I really want to be able to make this, and if I'm not able to make it this winter, I am going to promise myself to make it in the spring, because this one I really want to add to my wardrobe. But that is all like the jackets, cardigans, and then we can move into dresses, because this winter I actually want to make myself at least one dress, and I'm a bit torn in between dresses to choose, because I have been looking at the Chestnut dress from Petiteknit, but I also want to knit from others than Petiteknit, and the Chestnut dress, I like it, but I don't love it, and it's quite a lot of work to do for something you don't necessarily love. But it looks like it will be a very warm dress at least. So that would be great about the Chestnut dress. But I do really want to branch out from Petiteknit, and I've been looking a bit at the Nata dress by Ullenknitwear, and I think that looks really nice, and you can have an open back or a closed back. I think I'd do the closed back just because that would make it a bit more versatile to wear year round, and I'd probably also want to put some wool in it just to make it more of a winter knit. But I think the Nata dress looks really nice, but I'd also love suggestions if you know any good dress patterns, because I really want to make a dress for Christmas. And if you have like any dress you think looks really nice and would also be a fast knit, I'd love that, just for me to be able to have it more of winter time. But yeah, I really do want to make a dress. I just am a bit unsure about which dress to choose, but I think having a knitted dress would be really cool, and to be able to just slip on a knitted dress, oh, that must be a great feeling. So hopefully I'll be able to find a pattern I think is 10 out of 10 and be able to make that. Other than that, I have one more sweater I want to do, and that is the Augustines No1. This is a really pretty sweater, and I've seen it on Instagram quite a few times, and it is just so pretty. It kind of blows me away, and all the little frills and details and lace, and it just looks insane. But the one thing that really pushed me over the edge as to wanting this is that one of my knitting friends actually has the yarn for this, so she's probably going to be knitting it up sometime soon, and I'm actually a bit jealous because it's just so pretty, and I also want to knit it up, so I just really want to knit it up. I think it would look great in kind of a light pink or a really light beige. It might actually also look good in more like a baby blue, really light blue. But I'm thinking something along those lines for it. And I really hope to be able to make this. I think it would be a really nice knit, and it's also so fancy that this could be like what you wear when you dress up. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it in time for Christmas, but if I were, I think this would be a great outfit for Christmas. But yeah, I don't really know what yarn I would make it in. I think my friend is doing it in Drops Merino Extra Fine and Kid Silk, and I think that will be a really nice combination. So maybe if I try Drops Daisy and I really like that, I'd do it in Drops Daisy and Kid Silk, or I'd do it in Drops Merino Extra Fine and Kid Silk. I'll have to see a bit. I don't think I'll get to it before I've done my porcelain sweater and my zipper sweater, at least, because I'm trying to work from my stash first. But I do really want to make the Augustins No1. Another Augustines pattern I want to make, these are by Augustins.dk, is her Augustins number 30. That's kind of a shawl, and it has these absolutely beautiful details along the edge of the shawl, this lace detailing, and I think it makes the finish of the shawl just so pretty. And I am hoping to be able to knit up my wedding dress next year, which is going to be a huge project, I think. But I think having the Augustins number 30 as like the final detail would be really nice, to have a knitted wedding dress and then the Augustins number 30 shawl over it. I think that would be so pretty. So I'm thinking of doing this in like a white cream color for it to go with the wedding dress. But it would also be great to have the Augustins number 30 done before I start working on the wedding dress, just so I don't have yet another thing to work on top of the wedding dress. But I think if I have the time to be able to make it before starting on the wedding dress, I think that would be absolutely great as a final detail. And the shawl is also more versatile, so you can continue wearing it after the wedding, whereas wedding dress, not so much. So it would be great to kind of have a piece from that day with me that I can continue to wear. So that's also a winter knitting plan. And then I also want to make the Tee No1 by Myfavoritethings.knitwear, and that might sound a bit more like a summer knitting plan. But since it is so cold here, I really like to layer my knits up like I've done today. This is actually a tee pattern. I've just made it with long sleeves. But I think the Tee No1 to have like a woolen t-shirt, if it's warm enough to wear a t-shirt, but for it to still be wool and for you to be able to have something next to skin to layer up over. I think that would be great, so that's why I want to make the Tee #1. I also really wanted to make it December, I just didn't get around to it, so why not make it this winter? The Tee #1 is also by Myfavoritethings.knitwear, and I'm hoping I'm able to make it in some of the yarn I have here. I don't know about the gauge, but if I could figure out a way to hit gauge and also use maybe this color, Droppsbemi Merino. I really like this color. I think it is Desert Rose or something. That would be lovely, because I have been really wanting to make myself something in that color. But yeah, I think that's all of my selfish plans. And then I have some plans for gifts. I have already talked about my Christmas gifts, but I still have friends that are making babies and having babies, so I have a few gift knit plans for those as well. And I think I have the yarn for some of it. I think I have some of the yarn I want to use for that, but it's like way underneath all of this other yarn and I can't pull it out because everything will topple down. But I am thinking about doing the Anchor Sweater by Petiteknit in either the size 0 to 3 months or 3 to 6 months in some drops Lima I have, either in the color Orchid or in the color Powdered Pink. I'm knitting for 2 different babies, so I might do one of both. But those are quite small, tiny projects, so I don't think they'll take me much time, but they need to be done before February. So I'm probably going to do those in January or something, just as a couple of like chilled projects, just relaxing, knitting. I've done the Anchor Sweater very many times, so it's one of my like go-to knits if I'm just going to do a relaxing knit. But that's all for my gift knits as well, because I haven't planned that many gift knits because I've just finished knitting up a really large gift, so it's nice to kind of take a break from knitting gifts, at least knitting baby gifts. I just need a little break before I'm going to go back into it probably, because I do love knitting up gifts, but I've done a lot of it this year, so it will be nice to just take a little break. And then I have some plans that are just very much up in the wind, and that is that I want to make a Korshaven just something. I really like the Korshaven pattern by Aftenstrikk, but I don't know exactly what. I like the Korshaven sweater and the Korshaven jacket and the Korshaven V-shaped jacket. I really like the Korshaven pattern, and I've never tried doing a basket weave, and I really want to learn that technique as well. So I really want to make a Korshaven something. I think the pattern I want to do the most almost is the Korshaven blanket, because I think just a blanket of basket rows would be really fun to do. So I'm leaning towards doing that right now, but on my list it just literally says Korshaven something. So that's how decided I am about that plan, but I would really like to do a Korshaven something. And then on my list it's also just says balaclava, because I really want to make myself a balaclava or a hood or some kind. As I said, I'm really into making myself hats, and I think it would be really nice to have a balaclava as well to keep my neck warm, and just I think a balaclava would be nice. I haven't really found a pattern I love. I know Petiteknit has one, the November balaclava, but on her pictures it seems like the balaclava is quite far back, and the reason I want the balaclava is to keep as much as possible warm, so I just want there to be a little hole for my face. I don't want my like forehead and almost ears to be out and my hair to show. I want like just a little face opening to keep everything else warm. In a very other direction than that, I also quite want a hood, but then I want it to be like bigger and like a hood and not sit tight to the head, because I think a hood would also be nice. It's like you both get the neck part of it, but then also being able to do a hood up over if you already have on a hat, and then being able to wear a hood as well. I think that would be really nice for the extra cold days. So both having a hood and a balaclava I think would be really nice. But I haven't found a pattern that really speaks to me in either. So I'll just keep looking, or if you have any suggestions, please let me know, because I am looking. And then I really want to make myself socks. I have sock yarn I've had for close to 3 years now for myself. Still not knit my socks, so hopefully I'll do that. I also I want to make a few different socks for myself, because I barely have any wool socks. So I need to get those. It's quite cold, so it's just about I need to get around to doing that. I can't just keep making sweaters. I also need to make some socks. Probably going to make socks for the whole family, honestly. And also I would love to make slippers for all of us for Christmas, because I think like spending the time after Christmas, what we call romjul here in Norway. Romjul is quite a major thing here in Norway. I think spending all of romjula in matching slippers would be amazing. So hopefully I'll have the time to make us all slippers as well. But that is really all of my plans, hopes, dreams when it comes to knitting this winter. I hope any of that was inspiring or resonated with any of you. Please let me know if you're also considering doing any of these patterns. I really want more knitting friends, so if any of you want to do a knit along on any of these patterns or anything, please reach out and let me know. I'm always in the mood for more knitting friends, and let me know what you are going to be knitting on in this season. And if you like this video, please leave a like and a comment, and if you want to see more from me, please subscribe. Bye!